Nice to see you.
Ah. Okay, and we are live now, so greetings and welcome everybody. It's great to have all these participants in our think tank session with me here today, along as Imanji, that is going to be help me on this morning, on this afternoon session morning for North America, and sunset session for the colleagues in India. It's really a pleasure to be here with all of you. And we are going to kickstart this session by having the welcome words by the chair of the Health Data Forum, Dr. George Matthew, joining from the United States. George, thank you so much for joining us.
Well, thank you for having me. Everyone, hello, assalamu alaikum. My name is Dr. George Matthew. I'm an internal medicine doctor in the United States, but happy to be associated and work with Paul as part of Health Data Forum. I wanted to talk a little bit about why cross-regional learning is now mission critical and to set some of the foundation for when Dr. Rajendra speaks afterwards and for all of our future speakers. I wanted to bring up a very deceptively simple point. We have more evidence than ever before in healthcare, but decision-making has never been more complex. And the difference between success and stagnation isn't who generates the best evidence, but who learns the fastest across regions. We now generate massive clinical data sets, real-world data, AI predictive analysis, genomic precision insights, and in theory, this should lead to better care, lower costs, improved population health. But globally, we're not seeing that. We're seeing rising healthcare costs, persistent inequities, slower adoption of validated innovations, and more fragmentation of health systems. So it's not really evidence generation that's the problem. It's evidence translation. How do we translate what we find out into policy, into clinical workflows, into financial models, into everyday decisions? And that's why cross-regional learning matters more now than ever before. Historically, healthcare innovation would start in predictable geographic waves. People would look to the West or North America or Europe, and then gradually it would diffuse. But that model no longer holds. If you look today, Asia leads in AI-enabled diagnostics. The Middle East is advancing national digital health infrastructure rapidly. Europe is pioneering privacy regulation and trusted data governance. And the United States continues to innovate in biotech, payment models, and AI commercialization. No single region owns the future. The future belongs to ecosystems that learn from each other intentionally. And Dubai is uniquely positioned to be one of those ecosystems. The three things that must change to make this happen. Evidence must travel faster than disease. We have to move from just publishing evidence to operationalizing it globally. That means implementation science, not just discovery, real-world evidence networks, and continuous learning health systems. When one region solves a problem, whether it's workforce shortages, chronic disease management, or cost control, that knowledge has to propagate quickly, not in a matter of decades, but in months or even weeks. That information can make the difference of a system surviving or closing down very quickly. The other next step is data sovereignty. It must coexist with data collaboration. Countries want control over citizen data, strong privacy protections, digital independence. But healthcare innovation requires large data sets, population diversity, and shared validation environments. The answer is not unrestricted data sharing. It's privacy-preserving collaboration. This would involve technologies like federated learning, privacy-first architectures, secure multi-party computation, and trusted governance networks. This approach protects sovereignty while enabling innovation. And increasingly, privacy is becoming a strategic asset. Lastly, and probably the most important, we must design solutions globally from day one. Too many innovations in healthcare are built for one regulatory environment, one reimbursement system, one cultural context. And then we try to export it into a new system, and that rarely works. What we have to think about is building AI health platforms, digital therapeutics, or care models that are culturally adaptable, economically flexible, regulatory portable, and linguistically inclusive. Global scalability can't be an afterthought. It must be an architectural principle. This moment is urgent to do this because we're entering a time of convergence. We have aging populations globally. We have rising chronic disease, healthcare workforce shortages, accelerating AI capabilities, and increasing patient expectations. At the same time, geopolitically, we're fragmenting. If regions become isolated in their health innovation efforts, costs will rise faster, adoption will slow, and inequities will widen. Cross-regional learning is no longer just an academic concept. It's an economic necessity, a public health necessity, and frankly, geopolitically, it's a necessity. So our opportunity in Dubai has several structural advantages. Its strategic, geographic connectivity, its strong investment capacity, their ability to rapidly change regulation when necessary. They have diverse population data sets, and they have a willingness to leapfrog the legacy infrastructure. That combination creates the potential to become a global hub for trusted health data collaboration, not just a consumer of innovation, but a translator, a validator, and an exporter of it. AI can help accelerate cross-regional learning dramatically, synthesizing global evidence in real time, identifying transferable clinical insights, predicting population health trends, and personalizing care across diverse demographics. But AI also amplifies risks, bias, privacy breaches, misaligned incentives. So the future doesn't belong to the most powerful AI, but to the most trusted AI. Trust will be the currency of global healthcare data exchange. So if I leave you with one idea today, healthcare leadership in the next decade won't be defined by who has the most data. It'll be defined by who collaborates the most intelligently, who protects privacy most effectively, who translates evidence into decisions fast, and who builds bridges across regions rather than silos within them. Dubai has the opportunity to lead in that transformation. And if we do it right, if we do it together, we don't just improve healthcare systems, we improve lives, longevity, and human potential worldwide. Thanks again to Paul for letting me speak.
Thank you so much, George. This was a great way to start this session, and the best way to structure the context for what we want to accomplish this afternoon is a fresh set of ideas that will help us build on what you've just proposed. Without further ado, I have the honor and the privilege to pass the floor to Professor Rajendra Gupta, a well-known figure, thought leader in the digital health field, is a member of a number of committees and close collaborator of the WHO in a number of committees related to the healthcare and digital world. Rajendra, welcome, my friend, and the floor is all yours.
Thank you, Paul. After George setting the context, I think it has become difficult for me, even with the PowerPoint. You know, even a power and a point is not going to fly with the context he has set in. And I'll share the screen. I'm not so prolific as George is, and I hope that I'm able to do some justice. So good day to those who are. I'm going to speak on AI, and this is about my work in this field. And this is the original work that I have worked on my research to create a functional AI pyramid model, which is the AI maturity model as well, as I call it. It's under publication, so I would request you to not share it ahead, though I'm speaking publicly, I'm mindful of that. So let me proceed to, and setting the context, that it all didn't start suddenly. We all knew it. We all knew the Moore's law. That is 6 decades old. And we were told by him at that time in 1965, computing power doubles every 2 years. We ignored it. Then is my another favorite, Buckminster Fuller curve, and uh, this is also 40 years plus old stuff. And as the founder of the movement Data First AI Later, look at the speed at which we have been doubling knowledge. We started at 500 years, the knowledge doubled in 15th century down to few hours in 2020. I think with AI, we are doubling it much, much faster. So we live in this age. I mean, let's accept it that anything you and I studied, anything you and I did, even a year ago, may be outdated. So before even I talk about AI, I must tell you that how fast things become irrelevant, to be very blunt. And now let me come to the next one. So always, it is not only just these studies, I would say, but also time and again, humanity keeps getting signals, and we are very good at ignoring them. We are very good, resilient population, as a race where we try and find solutions. So I call it the 3 C's of digital transformation. And it all happened from 19 to 22. And we thought, no, 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 it's not going to touch us. They are still inventions, they are research papers. But the fact is that we all got early signals. So let me come to the first one, the quantum supremacy, quantum computing that came in 2019. What the fastest computer did in 10,000 years, we could do in almost 3 minutes. But we still thought it was a research paper of Google and let's not worry about it. Then came COVID. That was a real shock. I must confess that, having worked in policies and programs across the world, this changed the world. This changed the world the way we look at it. Everything stopped, but technology started moving the fastest. Still, as we humans are, we said one day technology will go. We will still be back to the same touch and feel model, but sadly, that's not the way the world has moved. And then, of course, came ChatGPT, and we know what has happened to the world. Nowadays, we don't ask people who don't use. We ask how many of you don't use ChatGPT, and surprisingly, not a single hand gets up. Everyone is using this, one form or the other. So the world has moved very fast, and the speed and direction has changed. This is one technology, AI, which has democratized the fastest in human history. So when I talk about it, there are two things, at least in healthcare, I can tell you, and I think George said this context very clearly. And he gave many standpoints to look at it. So one set of executives believe that it is in toy stage, you can play with it. That's the way AI is. Another believes that it's in deployment stage. I had a chance early on to work on developing AI solutions and at scale. So I'm on the other side of the spectrum. And I firmly believe that AI will fundamentally change the way we work. And it's not years from now. I think before the end of this decade, we will be changing everything we do now. Probably will not be doing things the way we are handling now in 2026. So this is a very interesting way to look at it. Einstein IQ was 160. Today's generative AI is 155. Earlier, I used to say that in a decade it will be 10 times, but I can now cut down that forecast to next, I guess, 4 years. So just imagine each one of you has an assistant which has an IQ 10 times of Einstein. So how powerful you can become. And I say this not by theoretical, presentation. The subsequent slide will tell you about my work in that AI functional pyramid that I created. This is what it is. So this is the original research that I have done to create this model, because people start talking about AI as one word. And my work tells me there is 5 levels of AI. And I have given original names to it of what each level is and how you deploy AI at one level and how you create a displacement and who are the beneficiaries. So it is not without beneficiaries. All of you, I can bet you, if you understand AI, the way it's progressing. You will deploy AI, you will displace something, you will have beneficiaries too. So I start first with conversational AI. So all of us, you are aware about chatbots. To that, I have given the name of talkers because it is about conversations. So first level is conversational AI, and AI is not new. One of the colleagues I work with started using AI 45 years ago. His name is Dr. Jay Sanders. He's the one who created television medicine that became telemedicine, working at Mass General Hospital. Almost 5 decades back, he started working with AI and was very pleased how things were. So what happens is the first level of AI, you replace the 24 by 7 helplines, the back office, front office jobs, including clinical assistants. This level we have already achieved. The beneficiary is communication and cost. So if you're using level 1 of AI, you will have clear two beneficiaries at the individual level, at an organization level, even at the government level. The second level is reasoning AI, where AI can reason like a doctor-trained expert. I give it the name of thinkers. So we graduated from talkers to thinkers, and this level also is fairly mature. I had a chance to work with world's tallest guy in the field, Ali Parsa. Most of you know Babylon Health, his company. But Ali and I were working with Quadrivia AI, and you can download that, it's available. So the AI can think as a system. And this means that the displacement will be some tasks associated with clinicians aiding medical decision making. But again, there will be beneficiaries. Accuracy, diagnostics, and clinical outcomes. I think George referred to about diagnostics and outcomes. So level 2, we move from talkers to thinkers, the beneficiaries. And level 3 is autonomous AI. And I can tell you, we have developed solutions because one of the business units I run is patients union. And I can tell you for those who are clinicians, it can actually do your work, at least for family physicians and primary care physicians. I give it the name of doers because they do the task. So talkers, thinkers, and doers. At this level right now, we are maturing. Some levels, some places it has matured. So at this level, we will have some touch points, some specialties, some procedures, primary care physicians, second opinion referrals will get drastically impacted. That's a fact. Um, as we deploy this and we are deploying, so we are aware about this. This is where the golden partnership between human and the machine is going to kick in. You can't live without it. That's the fact of life. So those who are fence sitters, it's time to think, are you already late? Two beneficiaries, as I said, AI functional pyramid that I created has deployment, displacement, and beneficiaries, systemic efficiency and efficacy. This is what you will get as an organization. But it's the fourth level that I'm most excited about. This is something that I believe will fundamentally alter the field. And this is where I gave the name of innovators. So where AI has the capacity to innovate, which is so far left to very few thinkers in the world, very few people, they charge a premium. I also happen to be one at some point of spectrum in this, but innovators, this is the level that I am most excited about. What it does is very interesting. Is the end of 18th century medicine and symptomatic treatment. Well, I can go on and build on a lot of base, but I can tell you a simple example. One of my course students who did my course on digital health, I just chanced to ask him that, can you tell me, how do I manage my diabetes? Well, you have learned everything we teach in digital health. That's the test for you. He said, I can't treat you. You got diabetes early on when you were 25. So you need to do the Modis test, the genetic test. Which doctor in the world says does genetic test before I can treat diabetes? That's not just one. I'll give you another example. If you have an A1C of say 7.2, you will get metformin, glimepiride the same way. It's 8 billion people can be treated in one manner. I think with innovative AI, 8 billion people will be treated at least in 8 billion ways, not just one way. So it will end the symptomatic treatment that we run today. It will be a very interesting way, which I will talk in the next level. AI is going to alter, as I said, everything we do. But most important, quantum computing will get into healthcare. I can tell you that my one genetic test was 5.5 GB data. Conventional systems cannot handle that level of data. So quantum computing is going to be into healthcare at this level. But I can tell you new clinical pathways, new drugs, new devices, even new diseases. So at this level, we will change the way we deliver medicine. I think there are too many things, and I would only be very brief in my talk today. But in the course that I teach, this is a complete course in itself. It will lead to preemptive care. A very interesting time. But now come to the fifth level of AI, the organizational AI. This level of AI, you can run an organization with AI. And this is where I gave the name of leaders. So you started with talkers, thinkers, doers, innovators, and leaders. This is the original terminology I've said. Nowhere you will get it. I've created this for health and for other sectors as well. At all 5 levels, what are we going to change? Unless you understand this level of nitty-gritties, anyone who talks about AI is just swimming into it. At this level, the 3-tiered healthcare system will go. And I also give you an example. 15th of December, at the high-level UN General Assembly in New York, I hosted a 2-hour session with global leaders on creating a new healthcare system. And we are doing it. We are taking a 2-year project to do that. We will partly or fully replace HCPs. It appears very far-fetched to some of the clinicians. It is intimidating, but technology has never taken permission. I know George, he has been a technologist, he has been a clinician. All of us internally know to the level at which displacements will happen. It's fantastic. There's nothing to get scared, I must say. I mean, when you look at the other slides, you will understand that. It will not be precision and personalized medicine, it will be predictive precision and personalized medicine. That is the way AI is going to change. I call it the golden era of medicine. It will be the golden era for patients, for providers. Every single person in healthcare will be a beneficiary of the golden era of medicine as long as you understand what I have told you now. Most of the things will move from hospital to hospital. They will follow to patients' homes. Hospitals will only do surgeries, nothing else. We'll move from healthcare to health. And not patient-centric, but health and human-centric health. So that's the huge change AI is going to drive. And now let me put you in one slide. What are the fundamental shifts that are happening? We had passive agents, which is deterministic. You created a solution, it worked in the parameters. The moment you gave something beyond that, it started hallucinating. But in the process of delivering, as AI started learning, now we have active agents, non-deterministic, probabilistic. I could give you an example, but I'm going to stop not to give that. A very easy example. The Gen AI has become multimodal AI long time back. LLMs, which is the large language models, have become large action models. That's where I talked about the doers. Natural language processing has become natural language programming. You don't need to learn coding at all. You can talk in the language I'm talking, and you can create your own solution. So technologies will move from deterministic to probabilistic. They already have. Technology will gradually replace tasks, then jobs, then people, and finally organizations that don't use technology. So embrace technology is my message. Make it a force, not a fear. For all those of you who feel that this is something which is technology change, actually it is not. I have worked on technology to look at not just now, but 2000 years of human history. We started with agriculture. Any country, any region strong in agriculture would be the strongest in the world. India had 27% of the world GDP. You can check that, it's very well documented because that was the way society moved. Then came military. So UK, US ran the world. Now it's trade. Everyone is trying to do trade deals, scramble China. That's the way it is because trade runs the world. But the future is technology. So it is not a technology change. To me, it's a cultural societal change. So if you stay out of that changes, you'll never be able to make it. And if you feel this is too far, this is too near. 19th century industrial revolution replaced physical labor. We are all mental laborers, by the way. 21st century tech revolution is replacing mental labor. So you're not competing with your colleagues, you are competing with technology. So I think all of us have to learn that. I would want to stop after 2 slides because I don't want to stretch. I want to keep it limited to the time I have. I would say that even if you're big, just remember Intel. It was the biggest. Every computer had Intel inside. Look at the losses they posted. And this guy coming in 2022 November is every device is having open AI. Things change. If you forgot that, even Netflix got acquired Warner Brothers, which is a 102-year-old company versus 27-year-old tech driven. So this is totally tech driven. So understand that you have to be totally tech enabled to be beating the best of competitors. And they acquired them at 15% of their valuation. So that's the beauty of if you're a technology driven organization. I'm going to leave with few messages. In digital age, pride, ignorance, arrogance, so-called experiences of no consequence. It only leads you to becoming Intel. But also technology create opportunities, it create jobs. So digital health brings phenomenal opportunities, and I believe it will create phenomenal jobs. 2 years back, I gave this last slide as a keynote. This is not the age of competitors, this is the age of creators. So if all of you here are creators, you don't have to fear anything. You will enjoy what you create. It is a great reset. It's the golden era of medicine. And I think all of us are going to be beneficiaries in this. We run this program, Global Diploma in Digital Health, which covers all that we are talking here. It is digitalhealth.jc.in. It's fully online. I'm going to stop here. Well, 3 minutes into my time, so I give you 3 minutes back, my friend, Paul. And
thank you so much, Rajendra. It was really, really inspiring for me, this presentation, and I'm sure this will resonate with these concepts of futurist among many of your current duties and the working closely with WHO in these future scenarios. It's really a good sign of the times. We are preparing for them, right? And this is awesome, and having your leadership here. So now, without further ado, I'm passing the floor to Miguel Amador, the CEO and founder of Complear, who is going to complement this presentation as we just witnessed. And Miguel, you're starting already the yes, sharing your screen, but I would like to spotlight you for everyone here first and introduce you properly from Complear. But maybe Miguel, you can also give a short presentation of yourself to the group, and then start the presentation, if that's all right.
Sure. So you can see my presentation, right? Just make sure the technical things are ready. So I'm a Chief Innovation Officer at Complear, but a long-time researcher on the topic of health, digital health, and how data can support better regulatory decisions. Let's to say, and being a regulatory geek, but the engineer, so I'm not a legal person just trying to do paperwork. I truly believe that the regulation is a token of trust, and this is a bit what I want to bring you here to speak about that. Because when you speak about healthcare, and we saw here doctor speaking, and in the end we are speaking about two important things: is the safety of the person, and when I say the person, because when you speak about data, it's not only the safety about the person's health, but also his other rights and privacy, and at the same time, this important of the trust of what I'm claiming that I'm doing is actually what I'm doing, and this is quite important in healthcare, because if you speak about big data. And that's why I'm a big advocate of regulatory in healthcare. Imagine that each of you needs to test a pill before you take it to make sure that it really works for you. Like eventually you need to do a small clinical trial in yourself every time you need to test if something really helps you in any kinds. And this is a bit of a challenge, because of course we are free to choose whatever we want to buy. But at the same time, who is selling should be properly regulated to make sure that they are not claiming things that are misleading people. Otherwise, we are just speaking with ChatGPT to treat depression, because we truly believe that that's the best that the psychiatrists, and that's how people end to die with the software. And there's many cases as software damage people and kill people, not because they physically harm people, but because it misled people into doing things that they shouldn't be doing. And this is a bit the point of regulation. So I'll mostly keep here a bit of a challenge that's yet I truly believe, and we are speaking here in the quite international panel, so this is not how you enter the market in Europe or in the US, but how actually compliance is a token of trust across different countries and different regions. And this is again the principles and the fundamental principles behind regulation that we I think none of us will ever compromise on the patient safety. And then, of course, how we use compliance not for just paperwork, but operational excellence. And when we speak about data, this is a big risk for all of us, because some statistics I gather, it may take almost 1 year to figure out that your data was exposed. So it's not something that you just find out that, okay, I got damaged by this solution or by this app. You may just figure it out 2 or 3 or 4 years later that happens, and that's has a huge cost for the industry. And we're speaking about quite sensitive data many of the time. So genetic data or your personal health data is deemed one of my more sensitive data across the world. When we speak about regulation, I don't want to be it's not the point of speaking about regulation, but we tend to have these certificates and these standards that are global recognized, and becomes this universal language of how others are really respecting and following the principles that we want to commit. And this becomes this point of how this standardization compliance becomes not only important to work in your local markets, but to actually speak about trust to other markets. So when we speak about here Dubai, for instance, or GCC, how can I come from Europe and show that I'm trustworthy for this region, or going to the US, it ends to be a lot about compliance, the token of trusts. And in a nutshell, we have, for instance, if you look into a more established or a leading kind of compliance for healthcare, we have 2 mechanisms. FDA, that is a bit more prone for innovation, more rapid iteration in some cases, and Europe, that is more like the top level of our regulation at this stage. But at the same time, I often see companies that start relying on Europe rather than the US to claim international compliance, because again, compliance is a token of trust, and it's not just because you have a paper to enter the market. It's because your business partners, your clients, your patients, your doctors that you work with, they need to trust you, and compliance tends to be the more strict it is that you have to pass, the more strict it helps people to trust what you are doing. And if you look a bit also on the region of the Gulf, we see also how data and compliance around data become quite important. And this brings me to a second part of what I want to speak, that more the product kind of compliance that tends to be more universal on what is the data sovereignty aspect that becomes the key issue in these days, because we need to share data. Is by sharing data that you can create value, but sharing data across geographies and jurisdiction is a challenge. And we definitely, and I'll bring a bit of different challenge of these geopolitical things that are things, if you do not address since the beginning, we can really create a global data network as we see. And of course, you see here as localization of data becomes quite important thing. So data should not leave the country, kind of laws that we see in many countries more and more. And on this geopolitics, we even have this kind of challenge of
where the data resides, who governs the data, friction points, like we have a treaty between EU and the US that is being disputed over and over again, because there is this point, like the US legally can access data of European patients that are stored in the US or owned by a US company, and that means that this challenge of geopolitical is always a compliance concern around what we do around data. So it's not just how safe the data is, but there's a political part on top of that. Again, we cannot forget that software is also a medical device. So you have here the European rule that sets how a software becomes a medical device, how FDA is for many years also doing this for software, how we look regionally, and we see more and more regulation across AI, algorithms, and that's, of course, put compliance as something that needs to be taken care when we speak about data and software. But at the same time, this importance of going from what is a more reactive and static compliance to a more dynamic vigilance is what we are seeing across the market. And that means the need for data even more relevant. So the post-market surveillance of the AI itself, of the healthcare technology are things that are becoming more and more integrated and more global. So in that sense, the data collected for compliance are not just paperwork. It becomes an engine also for innovation. So the more you learn from what you are doing and what is happening, the more you can evolve and develop anything. So the last part I wanted to bring you in is part of some research that we are doing at Complear, that is the post-quantum wall. I think we already spoke here about quantum a lot. There's a lot of technology potential there, but there's also the elephant in the room of quantum and immediate danger today that a lot of the cyber attacks and the things we say, okay, don't care, data is safe, data is encrypted, fall within what is this concept of data harvesting, decrypt later. So data that today may be totally safe, but in 5-10 years, it may be totally compromised because someone will be able to encrypt it with quantum computing. And that means that a lot of what we are doing now, maybe, as I said, we may take 1 year to discover that our data was breached. On this situation, we may have players playing on the long term of really collecting data today to expose it in 5-10 years. And that's the big challenge, because if you do not look into what is quantum today, when there is this quantum break we'll have a really mess in the world if you do not have a coordinated transition into it. So if you do not are ready for it, it's like climate change in the digital world. Let's just say. And this is not something we need to care about, because when you speak about trust, many of the times the trust builds on this the geopolitical part, because who owns the quantum break will be able to have a kind of power on top of the other countries. That becomes a kind of a risk of some countries being controlled or in some way subject to other countries that control the quantum. And I'm bringing here a bit the nuclear weapon in this aspect of the digital world, because when we speak about compliance, there's a lot of things that needs to be taken care. And again, I'm totally for global worlds of global data, but we need really to build for that future, and don't forget that we are still quite fragile in that sense. And data may not be critical today, but things we are doing today may be actually full in the end. So this new there's new concerns on compliance, like what is the consent when you cannot prove that your data will be secure, how you withdraw consent when the encryption actually will be failing, and you know that encryption will be failing because you know that will not be quantum secure. So there is a lot of things that is risky, and for instance, one of the things we are pushing at Complear is a bit of this idea of the Quantum Geneva Convention, when data and compliance around data is something that needs to be used for good also. So how these tools are used for good, and we need to consider that on the geopolitical aspects of the world. And when we speak about this, who owns data for genomics may also have weapon in their side, and how it can be used or not. So we really need to start discussing this today, when it's just hypothetical, but is a matter of when, not if. Because we see really a need to build a resilience on the quantum worlds, and there's a path that we can start doing. There's already things that may be put in place, and again, there's a new level of compliance that goes way beyond what is a medical advice, what is the typical cybersecurity that we care about, and becomes quite fundamental on the relationships between countries, because to be safe, we should not share. To be safe, we should not collaborate. To be safe, we should hide things from the others. But the reality is that will hurt people, that will damage patients, that will not bring the innovation we care. And we need really to embrace compliance in the way that really supports digitalization in a global level, but being prepared for the post-quantum era today. Okay, so this is my last slides that I wanted to bring you a bit this perspective of the elephant in the room that is compliance around data at this stage.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for this. I would be asking here if there's an immediate questions, and I see already some of them. Well, Miguel, we have some questions for you. Dr. Osama Al Hassan from Dubai Health Authority, and also the ZIMAM leader. Osama, the floor is yours for the question.
Thank you very much. I actually have two questions very quickly. The first one, how do you envision consent management 2.0 that can really work in this kind of distributed environments that you explained? What would be the added features to it? The second question is about, I think, with regard to data sharing cross-border, I think the shortest path to that is to focus only on patient mediated exchange. So use cases that can be really benefiting patients directly, like, for example, e-prescriptions cross-border, because this is something that the patient needs. Or maybe, I don't know if you heard about this, using IBS for Hajj in Saudi, which allowed pilgrims coming from countries like Indonesia, Malaysia, whatever, to get their data accessed in hospitals in Saudi while they are doing their pilgrimage activities. So this kind of like patient-mediated exchange will thrive better than the classical use.
No, to the point of the consent, I think that there's a lot to discuss, because the consent now needs to be global, right? Because you may have been giving consent to a company to store data in the EU, in their German servers, like everyone likes to do it for GDPR compliance. But then if we have a case that China breaks out with quantum, it means that what's limit China to have access to that data. So it becomes that the level of how we deal with consents is something that's we need to discuss as society. On the benefits, and I think Eric Sutherland also have here a bit of some discussion related with the benefits and early camp. That's why I was pushing a lot on the post-marketing work. So I even did a presentation to FDA in December when I mentioned the need for better tools to do post-marketing of these solutions, because it's almost impossible to validate most of the tools, and for me, in many cases, is a damage to not deprive patients from some kind of innovations, just because we will take time to collect all the data to make sure they are fully safe. The point is, we need to deploy those tools with the tools that allow us to really stop and avoid further damage if you really find that those tools are not fit for purpose. And that is something that needs really to change from compliance wise, and that becomes a global challenge, because probably a tool is generating data in Dubai, was created in the US and under European compliance jurisdictions. So you get a bit of how you collaborate on this data collaboration across the world. Because the reality, and to the point not just on Eric, also that the question you put on the chat, on the compromising the use of AI tool for something that is not well validated, is more on the point of depriving people is misleading people to believe and trust things that are not so trustworthy. But as long as things are clear, for instance, you're totally free to do psychiatry, to go to ChatGPT and speak with it about your parent issues or your mental health issues. What is not correct is for ChatGPT to position themselves as a tool that can replace a psychiatrist at any point. And in the end, is the level of trust that becomes important with compliance. It's not just making sure that everything is safe, it's making sure that people can do their decisions. And that's why I'm pushing this cybersecurity, data security level. Are really data so safe at this stage or not? Or it's just misleading people thinking that data is safe when in 5 years it may just be as open as a database without passwords.
Fantastic. I brought to the floor Eric Sutherland, senior economist, because he was commenting here, and perhaps Eric, you would like to expand here, because we both witnessed the call for the GCC area to be an exemplary, potential exemplary area on this field. How do you see this, Eric, from OECD perspective?
Well, this is the tone of the last couple of comments that I put in. So first thing I'll say is that I definitely understand and agree with concerns with the acceleration of quantum computing. I had the opportunity to visit the Institute for Quantum Computing at the University of Waterloo last summer. And in fact, if you saw the back of my computer right now, you would notice lots and lots of stickers talking about the IQC. So I'm very familiar with the practical progress that we're making in quantum computing, and it is one of the areas where governments are sleepwalking into the future. And explicitly, one of the things that I've said is, in order to get to genomics, which is what the next big thing in health is, we need to go through quantum computing. So, but quantum computing is less than 10 years away. So we need to be aware of it in terms of our overall structures. And so, and this reflects the other comment that I put in, last year we published a report that 15% of all health encounters have a diagnostic error in the traditional sense of things. It's estimated that. And that 15.5% contributes to 17.5% of health systems costs. So the funny thing is, if we are so worried about where money is going to come from to pay for all of this transition and work we want to do, we use AI systems better in order to reduce a diagnostic error. Because, like, why does diagnostic error happen? Because the people making the diagnosis don't have complete information at the right place in the right time. What's good at getting the right data to the right person at the right place in the right time? Everything that we're talking about. And so by strengthening our foundations, we can consciously think about trying to develop systems where we are improving the quality of diagnostics. But that also, that includes addressing all of the things we've talked about so far today in terms of largely around trust and trust building. Because as soon as we start talking about we're going after diagnostic errors, doctors will revolt. Because they do not want to admit that they ever make a mistake, although they do. And frankly, sometimes the mistakes they make, and I put the quote mistakes here in quotation marks, is that they reordered tests that didn't need to be ordered because the doctor did not have access to the data resulting from the test that was already performed. And so it's simply a wasteful activity to reorder a test. So those are things that are relative low-hanging fruit, but I worry that I very much appreciate the whole movement that we're talking about here, because It's really like, what are the easy things that we can do and the real value we can create by simply using the data and tools we already have better, as opposed to doing all the fantastic stuff and future leading stuff we want in the future. We are incredibly inefficient as it is, and we can improve those inefficiencies using the tools we have now if we work together. And we just need to be conscious that the value of what we create through those initial investments is not a pure savings. It is an investment that allows us to invest in the second tier investments that we want in the future. So I think like that as a tone is what I'm looking to come out of this work, that we're like data first is toward the aim of creating a pool of funds that allows us to invest in an AI future. So I think that's the path that we need to be talking about. Anyway, don't know if that really answers your question, Paul, but that was my thought.
No, that's amazing. But let's also pull into the floor the perspectives of a pharmacist, and we have the pleasure and the honor to have here with us Sarah Rogers. She's the founder and president of the American Society of Pharmacovigilance. Sarah, welcome and good morning for you.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening.
It's great. So can you add on in this perspective of laid out by Mikael and now complemented by Eric on your perspective?
Sure. Yeah, I'm just kind of signing in. It's around 7:45 in the morning, but yeah, it's been a really interesting dialogue for the few minutes that I caught, and I think it'll be interesting to hear more in kind of the roundtables as well here in a little bit.
How do you see the challenges for pharmacovigilance in terms of this new revolution that AI is laying for us?
It's tough because I think that there's challenges without AI that we haven't solved yet. And so then I think to some extent, AI can help streamline processes, things where there's been maybe a lot of manual work. It could streamline those pieces of it. But at the same time, we're talking about what data is going in and how that's being used to make decisions. That's a completely separate set of issues, in my opinion.
Fantastic, amazing. I'm also seeing here another table host, Keith Kennelly, who was early with us in the afternoon. And Keith, maybe you could also step in this conversation as we are doing a soft warm-up for the co-creation session. As participants were going to go in deep dives in separate rooms. With 14 participants, we are waiting for a few more to join. So perhaps we're going to do now 2 rooms. I will explain you in a few minutes from the organization. But it will be important now, hey, Kit, yes, to also have your initial views on this and how this connects to the session you're going to host in a few minutes.
So from a reimbursement / coverage for outcomes, I think of this advance in technology and or AI. It's now enabled us to have a much more surgical view of underwriting. I think it'll enable us to really allow those who had to have the right coverage, provide right access in a more predictable way. And I'll talk more about this in our breakout session, but I think the leading up to this, I think the coverage has been spot on. So I'll stop there, but we can talk about this for days from an underwriting standpoint. I'm seeing change right before my eyes. I work with a lot of global banks, and oftentimes they always fear the unknown. And now we can build empirical data to understand what the underwriting really looks like.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyone from the think tank group would like to intervene at this stage or ask more questions to our fishbowl participants here, where I'm included? So we are going to have plenty of time to going a deep dive on the session. So I'm going to create two rooms. instead of 4 to have deeper engagement and minimal critical mass in the room. So one of the rooms will be dealing with the foundations of trust and data integrity. So we are going to combine the trusted research environment there with data integrity. Unfortunately, Selina Milanovic cannot join us today, but Dr. Padma Roy is going to be in that meeting, as I'm sure also with Imangi. They will be hosting those the room A, and we are going to have a room B that precisely combines from evidence to access. So we're going to have Sarah Rogers and Keith Kernelly sharing the other room on the perspective of evidence to access. And this will hopefully give us a little bit more in-depth discussions and a little bit more crossover on these two fields, if that's okay. Obviously, we can do changes as we're deciding collaboratively as we're going along. Eric, Miguel, any more comments? Good to go. Dear participants, anyone would like to introduce herself or himself? Maybe Imangi, maybe you can introduce yourself now, and Anna also. The ones who have the videos, happy to.
Sure. So my name is Imangi Rajpura. I recently graduated from Masters in Public Health from King's College London, and I had a wonderful opportunity to join Health Data Forum with Paul and Dr. Padma. So I have a quick question. When we talk about data and how it is collected, a lot of data exists in an unorganized manner. So I come from India, where we use paper and pens. This was also discussed very well by Nishant in the first session, but it did ignite a question: what to do with that data? For example, what to do with the older data, or do we just talk about the new data when we talk about new technologies as well?
Who wants to pick this one?
I'll give it a crack. We can't only serve people who are born as of today. We need to be serving the past. People who have been around for 50 years, or 3, or the case may be. So I think that our solution needs to be, how do we mine the vast amount of data that we already have, because we have this vast amount of data, and learn how to better use the data or structure the data for it to be usable going forward at the same time. So we're at this bit of an inflection point, because people have suddenly woken up that data is the most important asset. And as they are waking up to it, we have to realize, well, what do we have to do with the past to make the data sufficiently usable? And what do we need to do with all data we collect from this point forward to make it maximally useful? So I think it's in the past it's optimizing, but in the future it's maximizing.
Right. I think that very well makes sense. Thank you so much, Eric.
Paul, you're on mute. Can anyone hear Paul?
No, I think he may be muted.
Sorry.
He's muted. Paul,
Oh,
you're
sorry.
muted.
We're starting the rooms in a few minutes. We're going to split two rooms, so anyone will be free to move from one room to another. So it's not definite. You can be for the first 30 minutes in one group, on one room, and then in the next 30 minutes in another room, and the third round. We're going to have 3 rounds. So a time for you to interact in a more private way, in a smaller context. So at this stage, I'm not sure anyone would like to introduce herself or himself. We're still in the open group here mode, and we'll be back here in the end for reflections.
I think I want to introduce myself.
Fantastic.
So my name is Alexander Davidov. I'm a medical doctor by training, but for a decade, I'm doing the medical informatics stuff, and specifically in the Odyssey community, working on the OMOP common data model. And for the last year, specifically working with the formal role of community contribution lead, which would mean expansion of Odyssey to different like regions, institutions, and settings. So I'm gonna bring the Odyssey perspective and almost common data model perspective here in the discussion today.
Fantastic, fantastic. So make sure that you also circulate between the two groups right now. So Emangi, I'm going to ask you to please stay in room A. Okay, that's going to be the room from. Sorry, anyone else would like to introduce? I'm seeing here one more video feed. Luis.
Hello, good afternoon. So I'm Luis Almeida, and I lead the research institute, the Center for Innovative Biomedicine and Biotechnology in Portugal. And we are also implementing a new gene therapy center of excellence. And so we are particularly interested in this area of the ATMPs. And I think I look forward to this discussion.
Fantastic. So let's do that. So I think we are on the top of the hour right now for starting the co-creation sessions. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is creating two groups. So I will let the participants to choose the room they like to go. So you're free to do that. What I would kindly ask is you to keep the slot. So let's do 30 minutes. Blocks for the discussion to go as deep as we can. Once in the group, the table hosts, and we're going to have a group room with 2 table hosts, and the other one with also 2 table hosts, can further introduce themselves and invite the group members to introduce themselves, so that everybody in the group has the chance to be safe to share, right? So that's the question, and then you could proceed with the discussion as we driving these to some actionable items that we can share in the end of this co-creation session about how advanced therapies and medical products or cell and gene therapies could become a forefront for innovation, and the need for trust trust for the data for these new innovative technologies to be more adopted, right? So let's the rooms are now created. I will start them in a minute. So Emangi and Dr. Padma Roy will be joining us very shortly in room 1. Keith and Sarah, you'll be sharing room 2. Let's have a good discussion.
Thank you, Paul.
I'm setting the timer here for 30 minutes now. So Sarah and Keith, please join room 2.
Okay, how do you join the room?
Oh, sorry, now I'm opening the rooms now. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Okay, now the rooms are open. So Sarah and Keith, please join room 2. Emangi, room 1. Dr. Padma will be joining you shortly there.
It's supposed to move me over there, right, Paul? Automatically.
Yes.
Right?
Can you select the rooms?
I don't see it.
Let me see if I can place you in a room. I think I can.
I would also request, please place me in the room 2.
Yeah, in room 2.
I'm not able to do so. Yeah.
Yes, when you see in the top of the bottom the menu options, you have the raise hand. After that, you'll see a rooms icon.
Hold on.
If you look at your teams on top, close to the raise hand.
Oh boy.
But if not, I can try to help you here. Let me see.
Yeah, I'm trying.
You saw it? Yeah.
No, not yet.
No, you didn't saw it. Let me see. And let me see if I can. It's yes. I'm going to assign you to room 2. Okay. See you there.
Thank you.
Nishant, do you want to be in a room or are you?
Yeah, I want to be in room 2.
Room 2.
I'm not able to do
okay.
so.
I will do that.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks.
Room 2. There you are. So, dear viewers, we are now going to stop the broadcast for a few minutes as we are going to go on the co-creation sessions. Please stay with us, and in 1 hour time, you are going to be able to join us for the plenary in the conclusions. Luis, you want to me assign you to a room?
Yes, please. Maybe I think from what I understood, the room 2 is the one with the ATMPs.
No, so room both ATMPs is room trusted research environments. Is that the one you need?
Say it again. Trusted research environment is for room 1.
And that the quality is the room 1.
Okay. And the
room 2 is evidence and payment.
Ah, okay, okay. But both are on ATMPs.
Yeah, both are on OTMPs. Yes, OTMPs is all of the session. And
okay. Okay, I see. I see. Okay, so it doesn't matter actually. And then we switch topics on the second half.
After 30 minutes, we switch topic. So maybe I put you in room 1 for now.
Okay. Thank you.
That's my pleasure. Okay, so dear viewers, I think now we are going to stop the broadcast for a moment and stay with us in a few in an hour time at 6:15 local GCC time, Dubai time, 6:15. We'll be back here for the cross table harvest. That is to say 3:15 UK time or 4:15 Central European time, or 7:45 Indian time, or 11:15 Eastern Daylight Time. Please be back here for the cross table harvest and the closing keynote. Thank you very much for